starting off as a kid, I always liked music. I used to play on my dad's bongos when I was a kid. I even literally used to scratch some of his records on the ground, and he'd get really mad when I was 3 years old. I destroyed all his record collection. Um, yeah, I just grew up listening to lots of rock, pop, early dad's music. And I just always wanted to be in a band from the very beginning. I actually wanted to be a drummer, but I thought it was really hard to get a drum kit at that point. My parents would be like, no way you're going to get a drum kit in the house. Neighbors are going to destroy you. So I thought then I'd play bass because I was really scared to play the guitar. I was really scared that I wouldn't be a good guitar player. So I thought maybe I'll pick up the bass and try that. Never ended up getting a bass guitar from anywhere. So I think the first thing I got was an acoustic guitar. I learned to play a couple of chords from these uncles that would come home and they would have these mad parties at my house. So I was growing up with these uncles playing guitar. I'd pick up a few chords from them. I still don't know how to play Happy Birthday properly. But I learned from those uncles that would play Happy Birthday. And I don't know, it was like a Goan Christian Catholic kind of scene that I grew up in. So it's a lot of music all the time. And then a friend of mine gave me, I started listening to rock music by means of from a pop figure like Michael Jackson to Bon Jovi, Whitesnake, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, The Police, Queen, all of these bands. Until one day I heard this friend of mine gave me Kill 'Em All by Metallica. So that completely changed me. I think that was one stepping stone. I was like, wow, what is this music? I couldn't imagine somebody playing that heavy so intensely, so fast. So I was like, man, I want more of this music. And I think that's when I sort of found my own identity in buying my own music, listening to the music that I wanted to listen to. I was mostly listening to my dad's music, my friends' music, and stuff like that. So I knew I wanted more music like Metallica. And then, I don't know, I guess that's how you find a lot of other music. And my journey began there. The good thing about it, much later on, was that I went to art school. So I never really had a commerce science education, which is a very good thing. So it gave me a lot of time to spend with my music. And I think in art school was when I really seriously started playing the guitar. And I think in the final year I joined Pentagram. So that's my early phase. And from Pentagram I think it's just I think that would say it all.
Can you tell us how the band was formed in the initial days?
Pentagram was formed by Shiraz, Clyde and Vishal. I joined a year later. Papa, the bass player in the band, joined a year later. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I got a phone call to come in and audition, and I went in and we just vibed immediately. It was amazing.
And this was in the year?
94.
94.
Yeah, and I think immediately as soon as we met, we knew we wanted to make new music. We knew we wanted to make original music. We wanted to sort of destroy that scene of covers and bands playing really shitty metal or just guitar music. At one point, it was bands just playing Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and it's maybe to show off that they're playing or anything. It wasn't bad. It was a good time because at least people were playing music. It was a promise in that people wanted to sort of come out and be in rock bands. It was amazing. But quite funny because everyone would just copy Iron Maiden, and I always wanted original music. Vishal and Papa and Shiraz always wanted original music. So I think Pentagram's journey also began from that. Just that need for making original music, new music.
What has been your influences in not just musically, lyrically as well?
Lyrically, it's mostly what's going on around me. It's the city. It's what I feel about the city. I guess Vishal would say the same thing. It's how he feels about the city. We would tend to sort of naturally tend towards message-oriented lyrics, because we feel, or at least at that point, that the city needed it. Yeah, but that's a lyrical viewpoint. Nothing fancy. I guess it's just pretty much the same process as most bands.
Can you tell us what have been your influences regarding classical music, and is there any influences on your music from Indian classical or Western classical?
No, man. I mean, I guess a lot of me liking rock music was the fact that I wanted to, I wouldn't say rebel, but sort of make new music. I mean, we've had enough of the old world, and I think rock music for me is how you define the world of now, where you see things going, where you take things. So yeah, I still don't listen to classical music. I don't even like classic rock. You know, I respect it, but I don't have it on my iPod. Um, I would only follow it because of some great guitar playing or great drumming or great singing that has happened. So you always learn from that. You always learn from your past. But I try to listen to contemporary music, new music, make new music. I like that.
Uh, Over the years, that is since '94 till now, present, can you tell us which Indian bands have influenced you, or which Indian bands that you have?
There was a band called Chakravyuh earlier. They were really, really inspiring. They really inspired us. A band called Crisis really inspired us. Um, Witch Hammer. Um, then there's Parikrama. There's Indus Creed. All of these bands in the beginning. I mean, in some way or another, were inspiring us. So it was nice. It was a nice upbringing. It sort of also wanted us to be different and stand out, work harder. You know.
Uh, can you tell us about lyrics or music which is influenced by religion? What are your opinions on that? Whether it's the good side, which is the gospel side, or bad side, which would be the extreme, antichrist stuff. What are your opinions on that?
What are my opinions on what?
On such kind of music.
On satanic music?
Or on gospel music.
Or on gospel music. So there's God and there's Satan. I don't look at the world like that. There's no God, there's no Satan. But I think in terms of lyrics or in terms of just being whoever you want to be, I think you should. I think at least from a musician's point of view, I think that when you are truly yourself and who you are, then you make the best music. So it doesn't matter what music you're making. People have different preferences. If you want to talk about Satan, you want to talk about a goat, you want to talk about President Obama, it's your choice, it's your wish. But
over the years since '94, you have played like most of the cities in the world, in the country, right? Like prominent cities where shows keep happening, and also you have had gone out Glastonbury Festival, right? And a few shows in New York as well. Whether it's with Shire and Funk or Wintergrad. Can you tell us uh, how do you perceive the audience to be different from the Indian audience in the international scene, as well as in the Indian scene itself? How do you see the audience different in Delhi?
In many ways, people all over the world are the same. Okay, minor things are different, like food, clothing, the culture, background, history, and stuff like that. People are the same. I mean, people have their basic needs. Everyone's the same. In terms, and I think that's, of course, talking about audiences. Indian audiences are always fun-loving. They love to have a good time, like any other audiences. Within rock music and rock concerts, I would say metal gigs or alternative concerts. I think the audiences, it's still a very new thing for them here. So they're still maybe taking a while to respond into they're shaping their own way, of being an audience. I think 10 years ago, the audiences were very confused as to whether to be like the Western audience. If everyone did that, or everyone like headbanged a certain way, or everyone did a certain move. Now people are just themselves over here, which is amazing. Even the bands are just themselves. So I think the audiences are it's amazing that I get to see the evolution from like 15 years ago to now, audiences developing. It's amazing. So I think it's very interesting. Out abroad, if you go abroad, the audiences are pretty much like, yeah, they're having a good time, they're having a blast. They're out there to party, they're out there to they've paid whatever, $10, $15 and they want to have a good time. Out here I still notice in Bombay, particularly people will still stand in the back and sort of analyze and watch and stuff like that. It's a cool thing, maybe that makes up. So I think it's interesting. I honestly think we're a great audience. Like Indian audiences for me are the best. They've always given us the biggest challenges, the biggest the biggest hope, the biggest love. So I think, yeah, Indian audiences are the future, I would say, of rock music audiences.
Uh, can you tell us about the problems that you have witnessed in the so many years in the music scene?
There weren't any problems, man. I think we've just been really positive. So, being positive, I think we've just not looked at any problems. Whatever they are, we would make them look like they were very small and just walk over them. Um, but if you have to look at it, like we didn't have music stores like you have now. We didn't have people repairing guitars like you have now. We didn't have. I mean, we had to wait for some uncle to come from abroad with a guitar, or some second-hand guitar that we could buy from some old musician. Um, um, there were no CD burners. Now you have hard disks and pen drives and stuff like that. So there were no computers. It's amazing. So no cell phones. So a lot of comforts of now were not there. If we called each other and said, okay, I'm coming for practice like at 3, you better come at 3 o'clock. You can't like call halfway with your mobile phone and say, okay, I'm stuck in traffic or something like that. So there was a lot of those things, but I think every step of it, I'm lucky to have been a part of. I'm lucky that because of that, I have a bigger story to tell. I think the band Pentagram or Shy and Funk, I think we have a lot more strength in our music because of that.
What changes have you seen in the improvements? Have you seen?
The Indian music scene has improved tremendously. I see bands basically not following trends anymore, which is a really good thing. If you want to play metal, you play metal. If you want to play hardcore, doom, death metal, you make whatever kind of music you want. You want to make electronic dance music, you make electronic dance music. You want to make pop music, make pop music. People don't give a fuck anymore, out here at least, which is amazing. I think people are just excited that you have so many bands. People are just excited that you have the birth of a scene. You have the ability to record your music now on a computer at a home studio and put it out there, and share it and exchange it. So it's an amazing time. It's really good.
What are your opinions on the lack of women artists in the country?
I think it will all change, man. I think it will all change. I think, see, what it is we're just limited to rock gigs and metal gigs. So women artists don't have an opportunity to come out there and rock the rock gigs or the metal gigs. And it's also like a different kind of music. If a woman wants to sing an acoustic concert, or if a woman wants to sing jazz or soul, the rock music concert format does not fit that in. Can't fit that in. So I think we're going to have more music festivals now as opposed to rock concerts. So I think you can accommodate all kinds of music within that festival. So the audience is also educated about more music, as well as more women, hopefully, and whatever other forms of music that don't get a chance. I hope they could also come out and sort of stand out. People can at least see them.
And similarly, can you tell us about the amount of commercial music that is churned out from Bombay?
Yeah.
That is mainstream Bollywood stuff.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on such music?
Look, man, Bollywood is film music. That's the fantasy world. I think I make music for the real world. And I see the real world. So I think that's what I think. I mean, you just do your thing. I mean, I don't think anything should affect you, whatever part of the world you're in. And I look at Bollywood as a film industry. It's a film industry, and fair enough, they have all the money, so they can push their music. But the best music is coming out from the bands here locally now, which is amazing. And from this part of the world even. It could be even Pakistan, it could be even Sri Lanka, it could be even Bangladesh for that matter. Some great bands, some great music from this part of the world. So we should look forward to that.
We are done with the questions now. Thanks for introduction. So,
okay. Pentagram was one of the pioneers who actually brought out original music. What were the biggest problems that you faced with the audience?
Well, yeah, I mean, for places and audiences that sort of wanted metal music or they wanted to hear Guns N' Roses or they wanted to hear Metallica, and they would ask us to play Metallica. We'd ask them to go home and put the CD on. So we were pretty arrogant about it. I mean, we didn't think that we or any other band should go up there and play covers, because that is definitely not going to help anything evolve. That's not going to help to get the scene even defined. Even begin, forget defined, So, we need to begin, we need to start somewhere. So in the beginning, we started doing covers like 80-20, and then the ratio we started getting 60-40, and then we finally have pulled off just playing originals. I think the first time we did that was maybe 2099, 2000 or something like that. And it's an amazing feeling. Bands like Zero stemmed out of that. Pin Drop Violence, there's a band called The Spirals. And there were many, many small little bands that we didn't know of from Calcutta, from Delhi, making their own music. And I think that was beautiful. That was amazing. So we we built ourselves on faith and trust that this country is a country of rock music. It's just the spiciest, the most colorful country in the world. So it's just made for rock music, I think. All we needed was an infrastructure, and we need to start somewhere. As a musician, all I could do was, okay, I need to start playing original music, and the rest will take shape, the rest will follow. So the hardships, we got a few bottles, we got a few stones, but that doesn't affect you, and that doesn't affect Pentagram, that doesn't affect the fact that you're a musician. So you just got to be there and sort of push the energy the other way. It's amazing.
Can you share with us some experience, whether it's been good or really amazing experience that overall from the shows or even as an audience?
I would say one was Glastonbury. Playing at Glastonbury was amazing because we're playing to a completely white English or a European, I would say, like a European audience. It's pretty amazing. We played at like 3 in the morning. People were having a blast. There must have been like 2,500, 3,000 people just going for it. So that was one of the beautiful feelings. The most other beautiful feelings are also going and playing in colleges or IIT or institutes in like Roorkee, and we have many instances of the college never having seen a rock band before, and they always heard or wanted to see a rock band, and like after 5 years suddenly Pentagram has come to play there. So people get emotional, and we've seen kids crying and all at the end of the concert. So it's been pretty special. Yeah, man. I think for me the most special thing is now seeing so many bands making their music, making good music, which is like really, really inspiring. It's really good. So you sort of know that you've done something correctly, you've done something right, and yeah, man. I think we need to, like they say, the health of a nation is defined by its culture, and music is definitely an important part of culture. And I think as a culture of today, if we have to be defined um, by film music, like Bollywood stuff, that's ridiculous. So the more bands we have, the more, and it's not about Hindi or Bangla or um, Malayali. If you want to sing it, it's fine. Sing whatever language. That's not the point. Make your own music. Stand for yourself. Stand for your people. Stand for your community. Stand for your state, your country, whatever it is. And I think that strength is what will define Indian rock music. Not the sound, not sitar, tabla, fucking jazz bullshit. I think we need more confidence from within. We need more strength, more fire. And I see that, so that's amazing.
You are endorsed by Gibson and Digitech, right?
Mm-hmm.
And can you explain to us about the whole sound of Pentagram? Because this is something which I have noticed personally over the years. The sound has changed. It has become more heavier and more towards the electronic side, and even more heavier when it's without the electronics now. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that since a long time. And also with Sharon Funk, it's completely different, very chilled out, very nice atmosphere that you create. Mm-hmm. So can you explain to us how have you worked on the sound yourself?
That's my phone. So I'll just get that. Hang on. Man, I just love music. I'm just uh, a sucker for new music. I'm a sucker for understanding how music affects people. I love sound because I mean, just by sound you can manipulate uh, people's body movements, literally. You know, with the bass, a low bass, a heavy bass, or a high frequency sound. It's amazing. So, um, and I think a lot of credit, I would say, goes to the fact that I was in art school. So my vision and perception of music is sort of from the outside. I don't look at it. I don't look at things like a musician, you know. And sometimes I think I suck as a musician because of those things. Uh, I like seeing things as a whole. I like seeing things like I'll call songs stories. I'll call um, tunes like pieces of music or grooves. I use that word a lot. You know, I have a groove. Let's put an idea to it. So I just view music differently. You know, I listen a lot. I think at one point I only listened to death metal. Some of my favorite bands still are Napalm Death, Morbid Angel, Carcass. I mean, Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that. At one point, I mean, this is the old school stuff. But I would only listen to metal at one point, and um, then because as a guitar player, I felt that I needed to step out a little bit and listen to other guitar players and other forms of music. So I started listening to jazz, blues, funk, uh, pop music. Um, and I realized that I was learning from that. So I kept listening. So the more I kept my ears open, the better I got as a musician, and the better I could sort of play, whether it was metal or play anything, just guitar player. So I'm like, wow, I'm enriching me as a guitar player, and that was really cool. So I think it's a lesson that most musicians learn at some point in their life. The more open you are, the more you listen to. So yeah, I mean, you can imagine being in a rock band and only listening to rock music. Could get a little boring. So I was always interested in new sounds, always interested in things that uh, maybe gave you the same feeling or had the same power or the punch, but it was another sound creating that effect. So I always liked that stuff. So I think 92, 93, I heard the first Prodigy album. I started listening to bands like Jamiroquai, Ozric Tentacles. There was a band called the Underworld, I think Underworld. They were amazing. And then like there was Left Field, Crystal Method, and then a lot of bands just started following. And then like the drum and bass scene started evolving. I loved that stuff because it was fast, it was heavy, big bass line, a lot of subs. So I mean, I like that kind of stuff just naturally. So I guess who I am today and what I do is just an amalgamation or a big mix of whatever I've heard or whatever I've listened to. And I like heavy riffing and stuff. So if I'm playing guitar naturally, it'll go towards that or something extremely funky. I love funk music, so I just naturally tilt towards those grooves, those beats, those ideas, those bass lines.
Okay.
Done. Peace out.
Uh, well, I remember somebody told me in one of my interviews that there was a particular incident that happened with the crowd, with Pentagram playing on stage in Bombay.
Mm-hmm.
Mosh me.
Uh, what Mosh Mania?
Mosh me. 3G.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was that?
So, what was your take on that? What is Pentagram's take on that?
I don't really have a take on it, man. I've seen like a lot of my friends lose it on stage, you know, and I think it's something which unless I think you go through or undergo, you sort of don't realize how harmful or bad it can be. So you need to sort of. It's a bit unfortunate though, but when it happens, it's sort of like, oh wow, that should never happen again. You know, moving on. Let's move on. Let's be more responsible. Let's be more focused on what it is that we want to do with music, and not like our ego affecting our music. So you live, you learn, man.
Uh, can you tell us about this? There's something which I've always looked up to you guys for. this amazing stage presence that Vishal, you and Papa, every one of you have on stage. So it must have been obviously since I've been seeing you since like 4 years now. I've been into that part. So before that, like how it was, like 94, 95. Sadly, I was not around. So can you tell us like how exactly it evolved and how you guys finally got into this stage of having an amazing presence which will get the crowd over there and
I don't know, man. It's the more you play, the more you experience. The more you start loving music, the more you start loving yourself, the more you start loving your band. I think it all starts to happen. It's basically like when you start a band, everyone's really uptight. And I think over the years, everyone starts to loosen up. Everyone starts to sort of chill out, relax. And I think like once you reach that stage, you can actually say you've reached another level or reached the next level. So it's important. It's important to sort of keep testing those different levels and keep getting to those different levels. And we've been lucky that it's just happened automatically. It's just been a steady, healthy progression. So it's something that we've all genuinely enjoyed as a process.
In the past 3 years or so, there have been, changes in the scene regarding to record labels and management, stuff like that happening, which was not around 10 years to 15 years back. What do you have in, what are your opinions on that? The scene's suddenly drastically changing with a lot of management and everything.
Yeah, the thing is now with management and labels and venues coming up, I think that's pretty much half your infrastructure. Because managements are dealing with promoters, venues, stage builders and music shops, endorsing bands. Bands are making better music now because of that. Bands can focus on their talent and not focus on too many other things that distract them from making music. At one point, we would sort of do our own business and music together, which was healthy, which is good because you also know everything about everything, and it's important to do that. So nobody can never fuck you over, or it's just better that so you can maybe give a friend some advice or something like that. But it's good also. I mean, at that point, that's one thing that I would have said earlier. Is like, what did I wish that I could have changed, or if there's one thing, it would be like someone to look after our stuff back then, so we could focus only on the music. Now that the bands have that, hooray, man! It's a good time.
Because the first two releases were independent, and then Counterculture has signed your Pentagram out, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I asked you that question. Anyway, this would be the last question. What are the future plans for the band?
Fourth album, Pentagram's working on the fourth album, Shire and Funk's working on the third album. Nothing, just travel the world, see music,